Hello, my name is Steve Gerhardt, and this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by today and watching today's video. Before I get into it, just a little item to bring up. I do have a blog site. I don't use it that often, but I'm starting to use it a little bit more often now. At the site currently are 3 installments of a storyline called Dragons of the Chime, which is based on the World of Building event that we did at Otakon 2020. So if you want to check those stories out, great. Links will be down below, and you'll probably want to check them out if you're interested, because the 4th installment is actually coming up in the next few days. The other thing is that you're going to see there is my anime origin story. How did I get into anime? Well, it has to do with a haunted house, living in a haunted house in a Civil War town with a very bloody history, and watching, having a television as a babysitter and watching a very evil children's show called Romper Room, and how those 3 things conspired to turn a 4-year-old me to anime. So if you're interested in that kind of a story, the link is down below and check it out. So let's start with the meat of the video, which is The Last Unicorn. Now, if you are a long-time Otakon goer, or you were going to Otakon during the, say, mid-2000s, then The Last Unicorn is probably familiar to you. You might even have seen it at Otakon. You might have even been to the panel where the guy who wrote the book that the movie is based on, The Last Unicorn, by Peter S. Beagle, did a couple panels. So for about 2 or 3 years, I think even 4 years, that was going on at Otakon. So if you're familiar with that and you just want to watch that, cool. If not, just know that The Last Unicorn is actually a thing. It is a fantasy anime, and again, it's based on the book written by Peter S. Beagle, and the book, actually it's a novel, was written in 1968. So kind of gives you an idea how long this thing has been around. And it's actually a pretty successful fantasy book. The story is about what you would expect a fantasy story to be. So basically, there's a small group of misfits on a little quest to do whatever it is that they're doing, a magician and a couple other people, and they come across a unicorn who is lost in the woods, and she's looking for her other unicorn friends. Not friends, that makes it sound a little childish. This is actually not a child movie. She's looking for other unicorns to be a part of, and she fears that she might be the last unicorn. So they all kind of meet each other, talking to each other, and as they're doing that, she tells them that there are a couple of hunters coming after her for some reason, and she doesn't really know why. And so the group says, well, why don't you just stay with us for a little while, because who doesn't want a unicorn to stay with them, right? So anyway, as she travels with them a little bit through these really dark and evil looking woods, suddenly the hunters come at them. She runs away. They're trying to help her escape, and then suddenly this huge bull made of fire, like a bull with horns, totally made of fire. It's a fire elemental, and it's running after her, destroying the forest, destroying everything, trying to get at the last unicorn. So one of the members of the party who's on the quest says, look, if I change you into something else, maybe he'll go away. Maybe they'll all go away. So I'm going to change you into a human woman. And he does magic, and he does it. So she transforms from a unicorn to a woman. The problem is that the magician, Schmedrick, yes, that's his name, is not a very good one. And so he needs to get certain items and things so that he can change her back. So for the rest of the movie, she is a very lovely human woman with these, couple people, 2-3 people, a ragtag bunch of adventurers, and they make their way out of the woods, and they find this castle on the ocean, and they discover that there's really only a handful of people living in there, and there's this old guy who's a baron. He's adopted this prince whose family was killed years ago, And of course, the prince falls in love with the woman who's the last unicorn. You see the tragic love story coming a mile away. And then they discover that that big red fire elemental bull, the lair is like right over there. Okay. So I'm not going to tell you the rest of the story because who wants a spoiler in case you want to watch this? So there you go. There's the story. Now, as I said before, this anime was based on a book written by Peter S. Beagle in 1968 called also The Last Unicorn. Now, the interesting thing about Beagle is that after he wrote it, and it did pretty well as a novel, he always thought that it should be made into a movie. And then as he was thinking about it, that it should be made into a movie, one of the things he thought about it, he goes, well, really to make it look good, it really should be animated, And just to give you an idea, Beagle had written the screenplay for the Lord of the Rings animated movie back in the 70s. So he had an idea of animation in his head, how it would look, and how, it would work out. So he had a pretty solid idea as to why he wanted it animated, and he felt that was the way to go. So as he's shopping around for people, for production companies and movie companies to, make this movie happen, comes across the team Rankin and Bass. If you know those names, then you know that they're a long time mainstay of the movie industry. My building's falling apart. So anyway, Rankin and Bass thought, yes, this is a good idea. Let's make this an animated movie. And they decided that they were going to co-direct it. And so they put things in motion. And what they decided to do was that they were going to direct the movie with an American cast, largely American cast, and have the actual animation, cinematography, film editing, all that done in Tokyo. They wanted that specific animation, and they went to Top Cat Studios, which was founded by Toru Hara, I think his name was, and he was from Toei Animation Department. So he made his own company, Top Cat, and I think it's Top Cat, and he so he was in charge of doing the animation for the movie. The voice actors involved is an A-list of actors. I mean, it's amazing. I'm not going to go through the whole list. I'll just give you some, for examples. In terms of just purely voice actors, you have Paul Frees, Dean Messick. You also, as the voice of the Last Unicorn, you have Mia Farrow. You have Jeff Bridges as the Prince. You have Alan Arkin Jr. You have Angela Lansbury. And of course, the horror icon, Christopher Lee. Who wouldn't want Christopher Lee's voice in their movie? So you get an idea of how big of a deal that they were making this movie. So the movie was released on November 19th, 1982. And it was released in Canada and America first. And then it went to Britain, and then it went to Japan very shortly thereafter. It was respectable, it wasn't a blockbuster or anything like that. I actually, at that time, did see it in the theater as part of a birthday party with a friend of mine and some of our mutual friends. So I did see it in the theater in 1982. It was released eventually on DVD by Lionsgate on a really crappy copy to disc method, and it was just really bad. And it wasn't until about 2004 that they actually really did a good job in translating the movie onto a DVD and onto Blu-ray. The criticism of the movie is interesting. The story everybody loved. The screenwriting everybody loved. The actors, of course, everybody loved the actors. The pacing was good. It's a good movie. It's not that long. It's about 90 minutes. People really generally liked it. When the critics didn't like was the animation. Now, I have two reasons why they might not have liked the animation. The first is that they didn't really understand what they were looking at. Japanese anime was not something that was big to critics. They didn't really have an appreciation just yet of it and its possibilities. So they were a little bit off-put by the animation of the movie. And by the way, the the other part of this is that the animation of the movie kind of bounces between a Western style and an anime style. And it can be off-putting a little bit to see that. I will tell you that when you watch this, you're definitely going to go, yep, that's 1980s anime animation. There's no way about it. The thing is that you also realize that while it's not bad, it's pretty solid, you realize that, oh, this could be better. I get it. Okay? So while the animation is by no means horrible, it's actually solid and very watchable. You just know that it can be better, which is really kind of weird because I was calling it Top Cat earlier. It's Top Craft Studios. Hara founded. And the reason why I say it's interesting is because many of the members of Top Craft would form the nucleus that would later on form Studio Ghibli. So that's why I say it's kind of weird how they made a okay movie in their animation, but would go on to make amazing stuff later in their lives. So I thought that was interesting. But overall, people really enjoy this movie. So should you watch this movie? Yes, I think you should. It's part of animation lore. It's part of, I think, animation history. It really is a good story. If you ever get a chance to read the book, I would encourage you to do that. It is definitely, the book tends towards young adult, but if you watch the animation, the anime, it's not that young adult. It's actually pretty solid. There's some scenes in there where, if you were like 5 years old, you'd probably be scared out of your wits. But it's a good movie. It's very, very solid. So go watch this movie. Yes, please, by all means, watch this movie. So that wraps it up for this week. Don't forget, if you want to check out my anime origin story or Dragons of the Chime, please click the links down below. If you're interested in seeing what the music of America is like, I mean America the band, not the nation, also some links down below. And don't forget that at 8 p.m. Over at Geek Archaeology, me and a couple other good guys are going to talk about a movie, an anime movie or show, and kind of dissect it a little bit. And we're going to have a chat function up so that you can throw your 2 cents in so we can respond to you. It's a lot of fun. And then at 9 o'clock, we go into the Weekly Dig, which is about anime news and our thoughts and opinions, and of course, your thoughts and opinions on it. So don't forget to check that out as well. So if you like this video, and I hope you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like what I do here and you want to subscribe, please subscribe. I would love it. I would love it so much if you subscribed, because if we get up to 250 people, you guys get a digital, almost said taco, but you get digital sushi, and who doesn't want digital sushi? I like sushi. You like sushi. We all like sushi. So let's subscribe. You get the idea. Anyway. COVID-19 unfortunately is still a thing, so wear your face mask, social distance, do what you need to do to be safe and well, because at some point I really would like to meet you guys in person. That's a goal of mine. And anyway, thank you so much for watching. Love you guys, and see you next time.